Hello, I'm Quinn. So, today I'm here why I think baseball is the hardest sport. So, if you just take baseball itself, it's, in my opinion, the most mentally challenging sport there is out there. If you look at the other sports, yes, it's mentally challenging. Golf, MMA, boxing, all those other sports. But I don't think it compares to baseball. Baseball, you fail 7 out of 10 times. And athletes get paid hundreds of millions of dollars because they fail 7 out of 10 times. That's just crazy to me. So let's go interview Evan Johnson.
Good morning, Evan Johnson.
Good morning, Quentin Dennis.
So, Evan, how many sports have you played in your life?
I've played 6 sports in the total lifetime I've lived.
Can we hear those sports out?
Baseball, basketball, football, golf, swim.
Soccer?
Baseball? Soccer.
So 6. 6 sports in your life.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Evan, out of the 6 sports in your life, what has been the hardest sport?
Baseball for sure.
And why is that?
Well, because the mental side of baseball is very tolling. And then, just baseball requires a lot of skill, so like hitting, you have to have really good reaction time. You have to be able to see the spin.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to make adjustments on the fly in baseball. Can't script a baseball game. You just gotta. In baseball, there's always the next day. So if you have a bad game, baseball's all about failure. So,
Evan, I completely agree. So, Evan, a follow-up question. Do you think baseball is the hardest sport?
Yes, I do think baseball is the hardest sport.
Physically or mentally, or just all around both?
All around both.
Thank you for your time,
Now
Evan
we're going to
Johnson.
interview our first non-expert or person that doesn't know much about it. So first, I'm going to interview Isaiah Yusuf. Good morning, everyone. I'm here with Isaiah. And Isaiah, you're a multi-sport athlete, right?
Yep.
So, in your opinion, what do you think is the hardest sport?
Wrestling.
Why?
Mainly because to start with your practice, you just jog it out, simple, do your stretches, and then after that, you do probably about a good 30 to 45 minutes of straight sprinting and conditioning. There's no breaks, no nothing, and then you go into instant live, and then technique and scenarios and everything. It's just crazy.
All right. So, do you know how long it takes to see an average MLB fastball?
Isn't it like half a second or something like that?
You think it's harder mental? Why do you think so?
Way harder. Well, mainly the way you look at it is it's you versus yourself, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you got to do the sport, you got to do the conditioning, you got to do the scenarios, you have to think constantly. While you're out on the mat wrestling against someone, it's you versus them, and it's also you versus your own doubts and everything. Where if you're going to hit a move, you got to hit it with full confidence, and you can't back down or else they're going to get a score off, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you really matter a lot to the team as well, because your 6 points for a pin or 3 for, say, win by points matters to the team a lot, whereas if you lose that, the other team gains that, it's just a lot to think about when you're out on the mat wrestling.
So, I disagree with you on the mental part because I have a source, Deion Sanders, a former multi-athlete, said, any sport that you fail 7 out of 10 times of and you become great and make $200 to $300 million off of it, he claims that that's the hardest sport. The hardest sport. You have anything to say about that?
Not really. I mean, the ball really, if you think about it, can't do a lot to you.
You don't think so?
You swing and miss, you know what I mean? That's all there is to it. You swing and miss, or you get hit by it and walk to your first base.
You know how bad it is, like, how mentally challenged baseball players are and how much they get in their heads compared to other sports?
Oh, that's the same way with wrestlers. You can go against an opponent that weighs 240 pounds and you're 280, but they're straight lean muscle.
A follow-up question. Do you fail 7 times out of 10 in wrestling?
I failed a lot more. My record for this season was like 28 and 10. It doesn't matter. You can either go.
That's not failing 7 out of 10 times though.
What do you mean failing by?
So that's basically saying you go 3 and 10.
Mm-hmm.
So then I mean, your record would be 6 and 20, or 9 and 30, or 12 and 40. That's basically saying what your record
That's the
is.
thing that's so mental with wrestling is you have to learn and you have to think and be patient. Whereas baseball, you kind of just sit there at home base and you kind of just take a chance and swing at it. But you have to read the pitcher at the same time for throw a curveball, or a fastball, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's where I think it's the hard part, though. Isaiah, thank you for your time. First, I'm going to talk about just physically draining. So, physically draining, MLB plays the most games out of any sport, 162. That is so mentally draining on yourself because, one, you're failing. Nobody likes failing. And two, it's just the challenge. It's hitting that ball is like one of the hardest things to do out there. Let's go to another interviewer. Let's go to Landon Holly and see what he thinks about this.
I'm also with another expert, I would say, at baseball, Landon Holly. So, Landon Holly, you've played a couple sports in your life, haven't you?
Yeah.
So, overall, mentally, what's the hardest sport in your opinion?
Baseball for sure.
Do you want to like run it through with us, or like how or why?
Baseball, you're playing like almost every day, and especially like sometimes 3 or 4 games a day is just a lot.
Now, here's another like follow-up question to ask you. Out of the sports, which one takes the most time like of your day and like all year round?
Baseball, because with baseball, you have to put in a lot of work just to get a little bit better. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. And I completely agree. I think that you have to practice all year long just for a 3-month season and then back in the off season. Now tell me, what sports that you've played, like, why does it make it easier than baseball? Or why does it make it harder than baseball?
It's just like, football is just so simple. It's a simple game. Like, most guys just play one side of the ball, and you just gotta remember if you play baseball, you have multiple signs, and football, you just have one job. It's like, go tackle a guy, and just easy.
You know, I agree. I don't think many people have seen that way, but for the people that have played baseball and other sports, I think they would agree with you as well. Landon, thank you for your time.
Appreciate it.
If you just take a second, right, you blink. That is about 300 to about 400 milliseconds just to blink. And to gauge a pitch, whether or not you want to like swing or miss, is about 100 to 150 milliseconds just to take whether or not you want to swing. Your margin of error is about 7 milliseconds when you swing that bat. If you're just 10 milliseconds early or 10 milliseconds late, you're going to whiff. You're going to miss it by a mile. Now for our last interviewer, I'm going to interview Jackson, so I'll take you there right now. Alright, good afternoon everyone. I'm here with Jackson. So Jackson, I'm doing a little like experiment thing. So like, I think the hardest sport is baseball. Now, I want to interview people and just like kind of like collect. What do you think the hardest sport is?
I think the hardest sport would probably be like a boxing MMA.
Yeah, why do you think that is?
Because you can like die in that, and it's like pretty intense. You're getting beat the whole time.
The whole time?
Yeah.
So what about like, what if someone like threw like a 100-mile-per-hour pitch at someone's face? Like, do you think that's worse than getting punched in the face or no?
Well, I mean, if you get punched in the face, you're still boxing. But if you get hit in the pitch, then you're gonna stop and go sit down. So.
You go first base though.
Yeah, but I mean, you're not getting hit again. It's one and done in boxing.
So what do you think like? What do you think about pitchers? Like when they throw, like, have you heard of Tommy John surgery?
No.
So Tommy John surgery is basically this little like ligament in your elbow that helps you like bend and throw, and almost like 30. Like a lot of pitchers nowadays are getting this surgery, and it's taking over a year and a half to recover. You don't think that's like worse than a dislocated shoulder?
I think the year and a half of recovery is just sitting out of your game. I don't think it's really hard to do. And is the surgery really necessary?
Yes, it's very necessary.
Why would if they don't get it?
Then they just can't play ever again, and they'll have severe pain in their elbow.
I see.
Thanks for your time, Jackson.
Yep.